Behind the southern charm lies razor-blade smiles and hearts of darkness.
Monsters we are.
You know the rest of that sentiment and the reasoning behind it.
The truest lie ever sung.
It is not in seeking monstrousness that we stave off the monsters of our hearts and thoughts.
We are monsters dead, and truly so.
Yet our monstrousness is solely in seeking to live.
Seeking to be that most human of animals.
Monsters we are.
Monsters we are.
The better to embrace the truth of our dead humanity.
The Coast After Dark is a mature-themed Discord play by Post Server based in and exploring the V5 world of darkness in and around the Mississippi Gulf Coast region.
It has a small local population with over 14 million tourists that visit annually.
Roughly an hour's time is all that is needed to travel from end to end.
The geography and size of the region has created a unique power structure that is formally known as the Council of Twilight.
It is sometimes called the Pentarchy.
Sometimes affectionate.
Sometimes oozing with disdain.
Come explore and safely experience the darker parts of the sun-kissed landscape
and your imaginations.
This is The Coast After Dark, Magnolias Moldering in the Midnight. This is our first of two-shot Hunter Chronicle, and I'm your host, your storyteller, and your number one fan, Nobody. Allow me to say thank you for taking this time to spend with us and live these characters' lives for a few moments, for a few hours. Play is phenomenally important. It helps us with so many different facets of our lives, and I am very glad that you are here, and I hope that you all enjoy the tale that we will experience as much as I do. Alright folks, how we doing?
G'day buddy.
Okay, we're good.
Excellent. So with this small little intermission, this small little 10 minutes, I'm glad that we had an opportunity to refresh, grab beverages, take care of all of those such sorts of things. This is our lovely player and creator of Jimmy on the coast. He is our fourth. Can you tell us a little bit about your hunter, Jimmy?
Sure. Do you want me to jump in now? So let's pull up this sheet. We have got Miguel Florentino. He is what sort of details on the sheet do I need to pass across here?
Well, let's start with your creed and your drive.
Well, his creed is underground, and his drive is curiosity.
Okay. And for Miguel, the easiest way, we're going to simplify this a little bit. Javal is Elijah. Annie is Levi. Ernie is Chia. And moving 100% alphabetical, Chiasoka is a data analyst. How might Miguel, as an underground inquisitive curiosity individual, have connected with a data analyst who has questions about the darkness? Now remember, this is the start of the character as far as we are concerned, and far as them becoming and actually growing into a hunter. They have questions that have been unresolved. They've had brushes and close calls, but none of them have actually stepped fully into that world of darkness. This is what we're doing with this episode and the next one.
A data analyst, you say? I suppose, coming from an underground background, that would have to be tangentially related. I can't see it being a direct relation, as in, I would assume some shared history of some description.
Okay. What does Miguel do to earn his keep, as it were?
Let's see. Um, you know what? He is a prostitute.
All right. And while he earns his keep by exploiting the attentions temporarily of those he engages with, his edges and perks.
And perks. Edge is library and sense the unnatural.
Okay.
And perk is hands-free.
Okay. And do you have an idea as to how that looks?
Hands-free, he uses his feet. Not particularly. I can't say I'm super familiar with hunter lore.
Okay. Well, the hands-free aspect means that you no longer need an object of focus to sense the unnatural. It's not as if it's through
Roger.
a camera. It's not through anything. It's in regards to his hands-free. He has the ability in and of himself, even though it's connected with his sense the unnatural. How that comes across, how does he feel when he's in the area of the supernatural?
Curious, which would harken back to his drive.
Okay, so there's a tickle at the back of his mind. It won't let him go. He's caught up in the chase of solving the puzzle.
Something there isn't right. Something's off. He doesn't know what it is, but he wants to know what it is.
Excellent. And the library is his way of being able to have a repository of information that he has access to. And whether that's a database in a computer, whether that's an actual room or access to maybe a university's hidden library or whatever, that's what that signifies. Now, Elijah is for lack of a better word, is a priest, a casual priest. He's not Jewish, he's not Christian, he's a hodgepodge of Abrahamic religions. How would you have come across him? How would you two have connected easily? And then remember, the depth of that connection varies, and it could be light or as heavy as you two want, but just as an idea, how did they brush against each other?
Let's see. A priest and a prostitute.
Don't
How
forget,
would they
I am
possibly...
also a lawyer.
Well... Have you got anything to add there, Cheval? You got any thoughts on how we could have met?
Well, just saying, like, I imagine in your profession, I recall that prostitution is not 100% legal in the state of Mississippi.
No, it's not. It might be legal here, but it's not legal in the States.
Unless you're in Nevada.
Well, there you go. You do have some place that you do
it. Mind you, such activity does happen plenty frequently in other places. I don't doubt that at all. It's only legal.
I mean, it happens plenty here. It's legal here, so.
Yes. Anyway, but that is an option if you think that would be needed.
The lawyer. Depending on what you're willing to go with. If you're as a lawyer, I would say that you've previously represented me at some point in our past.
That could work.
That would probably be the easiest. Look there.
And lastly but not leastly, there's Levi, an intrepid explorer of the real world, an archaeological purveyor of things. They obtain and sell many archaeological finds, some of them legal, some of them not, but altogether still plentifully rewarding financially.
Well, that one's a bit easier. That would just tie back into the curiosity there. If he's curious about something, and especially supernatural sort of stuff, and that's a go-to for anything of that nature, then that would probably be a good reason for them to have associated in the past.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Would likely be a potential customer.
Excellent. Now that we have that small little introduction, a small little get together, and foundation of their base to mostly formed in our minds. We have a full good place to start with that sort of brushing up against one another. It's a boring Monday night overall for most of base St. Louis. There's a lot of exhalations happening. There's a community gathering that was held at the Hollywood Casino right there on the bay itself. You, however, because most of the people and the lightning of the security cordon that's been placed all over Harrison and Hancock County, you need, let's just put it point blank, it's simple, you needed money. You need to keep the cash flow coming, because if you stop and pause and interrupt, then, well, there's less of it coming in. You have a less of a decent chance of living in the lifestyle you have grown accustomed to. It was a typical every sort of engagement moment. One thing to the next, the exchange of funds, the exchange of services. At least that's how it was supposed to be. And that's how it would have been. Save after the ooh and the ah and the touch and stroke. There was the running, the crying, the screaming, the bloodshed. You being curious, but smart enough and dexterous enough to understand that there's only so much that the average person, such as yourself, can survive. You hid in the closet, listening and trying to tune to when whatever was happening out there was over. And when it finally ended, the quiet creeped over everything. And this was a quiet that even the sounds of the house settling was hidden. This was a quiet that even the outside world was held hundreds of miles from your awareness. This was a quiet so deafening that even the sound of your blood rushing in your own veins was muffled and stifled. You're not sure where you got the wherewithal to remain. That's normally not like you. You need impulse, you need excitement, you need activity. You need to satiate that burning within you. But you didn't open the door. You didn't tumble free of the shirts and boxes and Halloween decorations from the previous years. You held your ground, and there is the part that really nettles you, because in holding your ground, that fire that's in you to find out, to solve, to question, scalded every aspect of your internal thoughts, because you could feel that silence. You could feel it sticking and crawling across your skin like a hive of angry bees seeking the best place to sting, inspecting with their senses and pincers and crawling and flying and buzzing and otherwise aggravating every aspect of you, but you held still. And you're not sure how much time passed if any at all. But then there was the explosion of sound as if someone turned the volume from completely off for the world to as loud as it could be. There were hands and people and badges and flashing lights, and you were led from your hiding place, and you tried not to look, but you did. There were splatters on the ceiling. There's the scent of heavy iron. There's a smell that you will never forget, and that's all of the blood and viscera that was all over the place. You don't remember the screaming, you don't remember any of that or how much it was. You know that it happened and you were able to hold still, but the details of that room, of that home, what sticks to you right now is that scent, that heavy copper iron scent mixed with the offal of the insides of those people. Only one of them was your client for the evening. The others were there at the party, and you may have been able to make a move here or engage services for later there, but you didn't have the time to do that before everything went to hell. So sitting in the detective's car, waiting as they move and mill around, and the detective is heading out of the building towards his car when he stops and answers a phone and turns around so that he's not facing you, and then you can see his head bobbing up and down as he's nodding to whatever's happening on the other end of the phone. The world turns even more askew as Chia, could you describe your car?
It is a dark green, not quite olive, but kind of like a dark foresty green 2021 Kia Soul, which is kind of a weird cross between a compact car and an SUV. It looks like a box. Pulls up.
Oh yeah, I just googled it.
And who's in her front seat?
I believe it was Elijah, and that Levi was sitting in the back.
Yeah, I was sitting in the front seat. Yeah. Your former lawyer is sitting in the front seat. You should recognize him.
And Miguel is in the cop car?
Yes, he's sitting in the passenger seat of the detective's
passenger seat.
Yes, Chevy Caprice.
Oh, well, that won't be locked. I think with Miguel's background, he might not want to spend too much time in close proximity to the police, and seeing a familiar face, he might try to slip away undetected while the detective's on the phone call.
Excellent. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your dexterity and stealth?
Dexterity and stealth, I can do that. Live play dice. Dexterity is 4, 5, 6, 7. I've also got a specialization in stealth. Does that get added?
Yes. Would you like to use a desperation dice? Are you desperate to escape the police?
I've got a dice pool of 8. I think I should be okay.
No, you never can be. You never can be too sure.
Yes. Is that like willpower? Is that just like a desperation, or does that
that's the only time that. Well, yeah, but it's not willpower. But that's the only time that you with using the Inkanu bot that we're using, you would put 1 in that where it says hunger instead of 0.
Ah, okie dokie. So the dice pool would be the same, but you'd go hunger 1 and difficulty 3.
Yeah, 3 is a good difficulty.
Let's have a look. 8. I failed even with and doing the desperation thingy.
Oh yes. Danger level has officially increased to 2. Go ahead and if you would like, go ahead and use your willpower.
So that's just re-roll that.
Yes, if you would like, you can keep it as it is, but you know.
Hey, success. So willpower. Knock one off there.
As buzzing and active as this space here on Chapman is, there's no way that you would be able to disappear from their custody. There's no way that you should be able to slip out, close the door, and get to the path of the oncoming car quietly and stealthily enough, yet you managed to disappear. You managed to slip past the detective who's on the phone. You managed to slip past the crime scene forensics people who are trailing in with their full body suits and cameras and lights, and the coroners who's removing bodies and leading pieces and bags and what have you out of the building. In the midst of this circus of activity, you manage to slip into the nothingness of their understanding. You disappear from thought. They forget you were even there. And as you slip into the path of the oncoming Kia Soul, Chia.
I mean, I wish she put the brakes on.
I don't know. Sometimes you may want to be responsible for an accidental homicide. These things happen.
No, she would. Like, the face would be familiar to her from a couple of times having hired him for friends' parties. So, hey, the guy over there, you know him. I wonder what he doing here.
Yeah, Jimmy.
I'm pretty sure I know what he might have been doing here.
Very quietly slip into the back seat and keep his head down.
Levi's gonna look at him and oh, where did you come from?
She has a work at least. I'm a crime scene and him is here. Put 2 and 2 together.
Drive.
No. We were told to come here.
What an escape.
Is he covered in blood or is he not?
He's not covered in blood. He is missing his socks. He was able to throw shoes on his pants and his shirt. However, his undershirt and underwear are somewhere else.
Levi's gonna give him like a suspicious look, but that's all.
I'm sure Miguel's received a number of suspicious looks in his time.
Oh, most assuredly. Now the thing is, the building where the party was taking place that Miguel was taking part of, and that is now the crime scene buzzing with a handfuls of police officers, personnel, crime scene photographers and forensics, and coroner's office. It is a wash of activity. Now, being as a base, St. Louis doesn't normally get any level of crime that is reportable. They do everything they can to not have to report federally this, that, or the other. The fact that the gentleman, the detective that's standing there on his phone, begins looking around, you all see that his badge is not the normal BSL PD. It is not the Hancock County Sheriff's badge. It is the same sort of badge that Agent Carter had. And he slips the phone away. And unlike the other police who are moving willy-nilly across the scene, rolling out tape to block off a potential path. Busy work to keep from having to go inside and look at the horror. He walks towards the car, which is still idling, and he just taps on the driver's window, makes the motion for rolling it down, and he looks into the back seat where Levi is and where Miguel is. He looks into the front seat. Moo leans his head slightly askew, looking past Chia and then back to her, and makes the motion again to roll the window down.
She hits the button on just her window to push to let the window go down.
You all, and he pauses and looks directly at Miguel and then back to you. You all, associates of Agent Carver.
Yeah, she sent us here.
Alright. Park across the street. I'll be with you all in a minute. Keep your doors locked. And then he looks at Miguel. Don't run off. I'll be back. Then he turns around and walks back inside. The truth of the matter is, the circus of activity for a crime scene does nothing to ease the jangled nerves from almost running underneath a semi's tires. The circus and activity of all the flashing lights does nothing to stop the dark from seeming like it's moving of its own volition. You know that it is only solely in response to the still flashing siren lights on those vehicles. Sitting in a dark car on the side of a road with only one relatively large building easily in view, out of your rear view you can see the Gulf Auto Direct car dealer just there south of Longfellow. To your right, the closest home is a small little shack-like building on a full eighth of a mile acre of land. It's sitting almost smack directly across from the building where all of this other activity is happening, and it does nothing to soothe the nerves because there won't be any passerby, there won't be any foot traffic to add the hustle and bustle of witnesses to you all sitting in a dark car. And it does nothing to ease the jangled nerves and the unanswered questions of what took place inside. Because this much activity, there's something huge that took place. This much activity, the fact that there are people in full what looks like hazmat suits going in and out, well, yeah. There's bad, there's worse, and then there's this. And there's the fact that Miguel is missing his socks.
So Chia is going to move the car, but she is not going all the way across the street into the dark. She is going to get the car as far away from the edge of the lights as she can still be in the light, but out of the way of whatever vehicles are coming and going. She wants to keep that house in view.
I suppose, having been found by the detective, Miguel will get up off the floor of the back seat and just sit on the back seat regularly.
Fancy seeing you here, Miguel.
Howdy. What brings you guys here?
I imagine that we've all been having very stressful evenings.
That's one way of putting it.
Chia, despite her nerves, can't hope but snicker at the irony of this whole situation.
Oh, it gets worse. Because as the humorous aspect of that causes a small vent, a small depressurization of all of those many stressful moments that have happened thus far, Miguel's calm in all of this and his missing socks allows it to be extraordinarily humorous. That nervous tittering giggle that starts and grows into a full-fledged laugh is the perfect stopgap to allow some of that internal pressure to vent until you see a white panel van ease down the street, coming south down Chapman towards you all. It eases in amongst the police vehicles, the ambulance, the medical coroner's van, and the police who have been cordoning off that side of the street, that little north portion, looking for footsteps and footfalls. They stopped taping the area. In fact, the few who were standing around and out front smoking and trying not to go inside began moving north along Chapman to start looking for footfall, looking for steps and prints, and starts collecting all sorts of information as that white panel van comes to a stop amidst all of those police vehicles. He could not look more out of place if it had a blue-skinned individual hop out with 3 heads. That doesn't happen. Worse yet, there's a small Rubenesque woman and her clearly oafish assistant stepping out. Her glasses thick enough that they magnify the light as it hits them. The oafish assistant looking very much like a funeral director. His bow tie prim and absolutely spotless, but looking 2 sizes too small based on the width of his shoulders. And as she adjusts her coat, a full-fledged parka in the Mississippi heat, he moves around the van to the back doors. And everyone's grown up and watched black and white movies and TVs, and they've seen I Love Lucy and some of those older throwback shows like Sunset on 60, where they have the older Panavision cameras where the cameraman has to sit on them and direct them, and they're these huge things, 5 to 10 lenses out the front, and the oafish assistant wheels one of those out of the back of the van, getting it to the lip of the bumper, then lifting it up and setting it down on the concrete. And once the van is closed, they begin sidling towards the building. She has what looks like an old school doctor's case in her right hand. In her left, it honest to goodness looks as if she has an antique Victorian vanity mirror. And she's holding it out in front of her as they move across the sidewalk. The last few who had just entered, forensic photographers dressed in their hazmat suits, are being ushered out by the detective. They wait patiently for the forensic photographers and the detective to get out of the way, and then they begin wheeling in the camera. She's still holding the antique vanity mirror in front of her like it's a dowsing rod, almost like it's a Geiger counter, and they move into the building. And you can't put your finger on it. Not exactly. You grew up in Mississippi. You're accustomed to the sound of fireworks and gunfire and the occasional coyote out there in the dark. You're not accustomed to hearing what amounts to all of that happening at once. And while you guys are watching, what are you doing? What are you saying?
Levi would like to. So is it too far away to actually have a good look of that mirror?
Yes.
Okay.
You'd have to get out of the car and get closer.
Okay.
Which is very much a thing that you probably could do, considering that, well, you all did see most of the police officers who were on guard duty moving to the north of the building. All of the forensic and crime scene individuals have been ushered out. The detective followed the lady back inside. So technically, you can get out and go, look over the shoulder. Or you can stay out here in the dark, in the car, extraordinarily far from trained people with guns.
I was gonna ask, so, is the car, did you leave the key in, just left it running so there are some lights, or just really we're sitting in the dark?
She would leave it running as long as she could, but gas is high, so...
Okay. I mean, if it's dark inside the car, Levi will try to look around and ask, do you guys want to get out? What kind of, not closer to the people who were supposed to be protecting us?
No woman here go look like she go ghost hunting. You see the mirror and camera, what they expect to find?
I think I've already seen enough to get me in trouble for one evening. I'm not going to volunteer to see more. Although, I guess maybe Miguel can tell us something of what he saw?
I suppose Miguel would then relay to the best of his ability in a semi-shocked state about what he just left. I can't imagine that would be a typical end to one of his nights, so that'd probably be a bit different.
No.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'd explain it very well, being sort of still in shock from it just happening. I think he'd just do his best to describe the situation to them with the limited framework that he'd have for doing so.
So, pertinent facts that would be easily relatable by Miguel. It was a relatively standard situation. An engagement of one that could have grown into more. It was a private party, and it was clear that this party was paid for by someone else. And when the first scream started, he's not sure why he was possessed as such, but he was, and he fled. Normally he would have tried to get out of the building, but something almost as if an angel sat on his shoulder and had wrapped their wings around him, holding him still. First it was the screams, pierced, shrill things carried out in voices deep enough to counter Barry White and other bass and baritone voices. Then it was the sound of leather being torn, loud enough to nearly shatter his eardrums. And then the silence. A silence so deafening not even the sound of his own existence reached his ears. A silence so palpable that he didn't hear the onset of sirens, nor police, nor anyone else until they were putting their hands on him, escorting him out of the closet. Trying though he might to not take in the horrors that abounded, he did see blood splatters on the ceiling. There was clearly stains across the floor and the various furnitures in place. And that's where the memory begins to get foggy, and there's fuzz from around the edge blocking out any details. And it's clear that someone called the police, but it clearly wasn't him if he was in the closet. It just occurred to him. How did they know? He didn't call the police. As far as he's aware, that none of those inside could have called the police.
So all the people that were at the party died?
As far as he can tell, yes. There were enough bits and pieces that he tried not to attach to actual portions of the human anatomy, but it's hard to see that what looked like a forearm as anything but that. It's hard to just view them as shapes and lumps of cooling flesh. And then not far from where you all are, there's the howl and the gunshot and the firework, and you're sitting in a dark car.
All of these noises are coming from the murder site once that the two women with the mirror from the van went inside.
No, they're coming from due east of where you all are on Chapman, because you're on Chapman facing north. You're just slightly north of the home that Miguel was escorted out of and where he described what he witnessed. The house due east of where you all are is the only property close enough to view. South from where you all are is a car lot, a car dealership. And then there's the home where Miguel was partying and all of this took place.
Okay.
Well, I don't know about you all, but I know one thing for certain. I don't particularly feel like checking out the inside of that building.
No, well, there's not much there you'd want to see that you can't unsee.
She looks to the rest of them. It's a horse apiece at the moment, you know. We stay out here in the dark and deal with whatever the shadow thing from driving place, or we go inside and deal with whatever spooky shit's going on in there.
So where exactly did that officer that the agent told us to find when?
He went back in the building.
Okay. I mean...
I mean, there is a chance that he would be the safer bet. But there is also the fact that he doesn't seem like he's worried that much about us being out here by ourselves in the dark. But maybe he just don't care.
No, he was worried enough to say keep the doors locked and the windows up.
I mean, there's always the option of just driving around the block. So, like, at least we will have some sort of light. And we'll be around.
Do we know what caused the mess he was talking about? Or if the mess that, like... For all we know, whatever thing did that is around the block.
But you guys don't even want to go inside the building. I don't understand where exactly you want to do, because, like, at least when we're on the move, we can try to, like, react to things. But if we sit in the dark, I don't know. I just don't feel safe like this.
Storyteller, when you were talking about the noises we heard, did you mention a wolf howl, or was that just me?
I did.
I think that would come to Chia in that moment. Wait. You ever heard wolf around here? We have coyote and raccoon and skunk, but no wolf.
Yeah, to get closest wolf, you have to go ways out. They don't like the city.
So, me heard wolf.
Is the noise coming closer? And is this a full moon?
Yes.
Oh no.
To both questions?
Yes.
Guys, we need to go.
I agree, we need to go inside where they have a gun at. She's like, you ready?
Do you think they have silver bullets?
Well, she had mirror. I don't know what the mirror gonna do, but I'd rather take my chances where people have gun.
What if we just drive the car right up next to the house instead of being across the street?
That is part of it. Chia would no, we're getting closer to the house, and then she's gonna, like, we're close enough to run in now.
What's the average? What's the average intelligence of everyone in the car? Just dots.
3.
2.
4.
3.
Does anyone have survival or animal kin?
I don't.
0.
Nope.
Okay. So just a casual acquaintance with the wildlife. And the reason why I was asking is because as local Mississippians, outside of the zoo, you know for a fact there's no wolf anywhere in the state. As a local Mississippian, you know that you're more likely to run across a bear than even a coyote. As a local Mississippian, while everyone knows you don't whistle around a graveyard, most also know that in the dark things happen. And while there are more of you in the car than there were, it's still just the 4 of you in a car. Outside. After someone done went whistling past a graveyard or worse. And y'all ain't got no salt to throw over your shoulder. None of y'all brought a gree bag, nor a prayer book, nor a crucifix, nor a rosary.
And Miguel lost his lucky socks.
Truth of the matter is, because you all know that there's a greater chance of running across a bear, the old aphorism as the best way to escape a bear runs across each of your mind. There ain't no way you gonna outrun a bear, but you can outrun the person next to you. Meaning the more of you all are together in a space with armed, defensible people, you ain't gotta outrun the bear, you just gotta outrun the person next to you. Which, if you're lucky, would be them versus yourselves.
So, Chia would make it a very normal practice to typically keep a pair of sneakers or flats in her car when she goes out for a party.
Oh, hold up. If we're going to try to run away from something, aren't we faster in the car than we are on foot? If we think staying here is a bad idea, maybe we just go straight to my safe house. And we'll call them and apologize later. Like, hey, I know what you said, but...
I actually agree with Elijah. I think, like, driving away might be the best idea.
So you want to go away from the people with the gun and know what this might be.
How about we keep the engine warm and wait, and if something goes south, we meet and get the hell out of here.
I swear that that noise is coming like closer to us, so like I do think that like if we could, we should try to drive towards the other direction where we should try to find shelter. I do not want to wait here anymore.
My point is shorter distance to inside the building than wherever he's living.
Okay, so like let them form a security perimeter around us.
Yes. If it attack them, and then we get out of here.
Miguel, how many people did you say were at the party?
There's only a handful. 3 or 4.
I mean, he survived by hiding in the closet, so...
Suggesting we like go tell them, hey, we want to all go hide in the closet?
I don't think that will fit us, but I like hiding somewhere not in the car probably be the best.
I think Miguel would just go with group consensus, safety in numbers. I think, safety in numbers. I don't think he'd really want to go back inside, but if everyone else is, he doesn't want to be out in a car alone either.
So as you all are discussing, as you all are talking, planning, and plotting, what's the best, safest way for us? We need to... The first gunshot, it's always the loudest. You get more accustomed to it over time, partially because, well, a little bit more of your hearing is damaged. You've all lived in Mississippi for the bulk of your existence, so guns sound different than fireworks. You know the difference between a gun and a firework. It's definitely a firearm being discharged. There's definitely the sound of something running quick, fast, and heavy. And to prevent there are two things that you all can do in this moment, and it's going to be a reflexive roll. Are you going to drive away from the sound of that big, heavy, whatever it is, escape the vehicle, and try to dodge out of the way of the big, heavy, whatever it is? Or, and this is the third option, you're going to sit, keep talking, keep your eyes gazed out the window and figure out whatever that sound is. Whatever that sound is, whatever that sound was.
Having swapped her heels for her sneakers, but hearing the
Does
gunshot.
that sound super loud? Like, is it louder than the gunfire?
Nothing's really ever louder than gunfire, but you get more accustomed to it as more and more of them are discharged.
I'm talking about whatever's coming, not the fire, not the weapons fire, but whatever's causing the weapons fire. As it were.
Not quite sure what you're actually asking. There's something big, heavy, and rushing in your general direction. There's the sound behind and around it, firearms being discharged. The three choices: sit and try to decide, figure it out, what's going on. Evade what you think may be heading in your general direction, or try to roll with by holding tight and holding fast to the car and vehicle and bracing for whatever may be heading your direction.
Brace for impact.
Like I said, having switched her shoes, and now hearing gunfire and things coming their way, she throws the car in reverse and whips the fuck out of there. It's time to go.
Her decision is going to overrule anybody else's opinion, no matter what, because she's driving. And I'm cool with it now that I can hear thundering footsteps. I'm like, yeah, by all means, distance between us and Godzilla sounds like a plan.
All right. That being the case, Chia, would you be so kind is to roll your dexterity and drive.
I would take it that this would be the point where there is desperation.
Understandable. Unfortunately, you don't get to use desperation. You are a inquisitive. being finding out things, analyzing clues, going through that. You're at danger too, so it won't be, it hopefully won't be horrible. And is that your final roll?
Fate says yes.
In the grand course of your existence thus far, the world has been a place where, with certain consistencies, certain truisms that can't be shaken. An object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by outside forces, and tomorrow will always come. Whether you're here to see it or not, tomorrow will always come. And as Chia takes action, slamming the car into gear, into reverse, speeding out of the parking spot, whipping it around, and with all due skill and clear experience of driving away from many things. The sound of footfalls, the sound of firearms, the night being torn open by chaos. And as the roof of the car crumples, as it's knocked off its path, traveling forward, away from the moment, away from the area, there's nothing visible, even as you all are knocked, jarred, and all but flipped into a parking spot by the absence of anything visible. Would each of you all be so kind as to mark off 2 superficial as the glass shatters, the metal crumples, the spray of your own blood across your vision, and the night ripped apart through chaos slips further and further into the madness as the darkness all around you all. Those of you with a stamina of 2 or less pass out. Those at stamina of 3 are barely hanging on to conscious sobriety, what little bits of grasp of what's happening as the world explodes in pain. You've all survived car crashes before, but never have you been in a car crash where the other car was not in fact a car, where the other car was invisible to sight. Never before have you been surrounded by the noise and sound of so many guns being discharged at the exact same time. And laying by the side of the road, bleeding and injured. From the monsters all around you to the monsters of our heart, I'd like to thank you for your time, your effort, and your energies. I look forward to seeing you all next week for the conclusion. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.